You should expect your life to get better after infidelity. That is a crazy statement, and you should really question why I even say something like that. But it actually is, it's the norm. People's lives get better after experiencing infidelity, either being unfaithful or being the person who had their trust broken. And I'll tell you why. It's very simple. There's a psychological principle called post traumatic growth. It's post traumatic growth, meaning it's growth that we experience post trauma. And so, naturally, when we're still in the pain of betrayal, the pain of that moral injury of what we've done to betray another person, we're going to feel shame and we're going to feel deep wounds, no matter what side we're in on this equation. It's going to be hard to see that we're experiencing growth, but people will begin to experience growth. They'll begin to change. And that's post traumatic growth. It has been said that post traumatic growth is positive changes that are the result of a major life crisis or stressful event or traumatic event, even. And so it's positive changes that we experience as a result of some major life crisis. So it could be betrayal, it could be cancer, it could be a layoff of a job, it could be death of a loved one. Those are big events that we experience that we normally perceive to be negative. But inside of those negative events often lies a kernel of positive change that's there. We often don't recognize it inside of these events because they are hurtful, they're hard, they're deeply sometimes wounding. But inside of them lies the kernel, the seed for major positive change in our life. And and that's common when people experience infidelity. One of the biggest changes that people will experience is not only will their marriage get better, but it can become a direct result of why it can become the catalyst for changing their family tree. They begin to see things in themselves and their own background, things in their own marriage that not only need to be addressed, but you know what? I want my family to be different. I want my life to be different. And that's what post traumatic growth can give us. However, we often don't actually recognize these positive changes are happening because we're still under the weight of the trauma that occurred to us. We're still under the weight of the pain of the betrayal that somebody did to us. And so, whenever we're reeling from the pain, we're not often seeing, or even maybe a better way to say it is, we're not often recognizing that we're experiencing positive changes. We want to make sure that we're healing that trauma as well. We have to address the trauma as well as our relationship if there's been infidelity. Those positive changes that happen as a result of post traumatic growth look different in everybody's situation. Sometimes we're more empathetic. Sometimes it means we want to have a better marriage, a better life. Sometimes we learn to trust ourselves more. Sometimes it deepens our relationship with God. The changes can be different, and they're different from individual to individual. There are some overlaps where people tend to feel like they become more compassionate. I've gone to hell and back, and so now I'm going to be there to help other people who've suffered. I've experienced it myself. I'm going to turn around and help somebody else. I knew a lady one time who had breast cancer, and for a few years after that experience, she wanted to give back and help other people who were going through that same scenario. And so that's an example of post traumatic growth. And post traumatic growth is different from individual to individual, but it's the norm where we experience positive changes. And so we may begin to experience that even without realizing it. And the reason we don't often realize it is there are a lot of emotional pains that we feel. There's a lot of emotional pain that we feel, and that often prevents us from seeing it as a good thing that's happened to us, or that there's even a silver lining to it. Doesn't even have to be a good thing that's happened to us, but it'll often keep us from seeing that there's a silver lining. And that's what we want to focus on, because a lot of these changes that occur in our life are quite depressing. I'm Brad Robinson with Healing Broken Trust, and at Healing Broken Trust, we help couples and individuals work through the pain of betrayal and other types of marital crisis. Check us out online at healingbrokentrust.com. I'll see you there.